All right. We are here. Thank you for joining us. We are here to demo some Luna Moth earrings that we launched, that we created for our renewal launch. You guys have seen a lot about that. We talked about it last week. I won't bore you with all that again. But these are the earrings that we're going to demo today. Now, these are made with our Luna Moth pendant links, and we call them pendant links because they actually have several holes. They have the loop at the top, they have a little loop at the bottom down here at the tail, and they have holes on either side of the wings. So they're really very versatile. And when we first started designing for this launch, Kirsten, our product development manager, who created all these beautiful components, she said, I really want an earring that's kind of a chandelier shape. And she said, I think I want it wire with wire. And so then I took it from there. We added some embellishment down at the bottom. We added some beads to the wire. And as I mentioned, we did two versions. This one is 24 gauge wire. So I'm going to demo both versions today. And this one is beading wire. It's a 0.014 or 0.015 fine beading wire, and then it's secured with crimp beads as opposed to this one, which is secured with little wire wrapped loops. So we're going to demo both of those techniques today, and then we'll also load the downloadable instructions onto the inspiration page on our website. So you'll be able to download that later if you want to make these yourself. And Julie is here with me. She's not on the video, but she's watching and she's monitoring comments. So hopefully she'll be able to add links and stuff as we go, and also just to answer any questions you guys have or interactions. Yes, Julie.
Okay, I'm doing it.
You're here. Thank you. She's just checking her audio to make sure that I can hear her and she can hear me. So yeah, we're excited to do this. You know, if you joined us last week, you know that we're just now starting our regular schedule of jewelry making demos. We're going to be going live on Tuesday mornings at 10 a.m. For the most part. I mean, there probably might be occasions when we have to skip one, but we'll always let you know. So we hope that you will like our Facebook page, and I'll always create an event for these. How useful that is, I don't really know, but so just watch for the announcements for those when I make them, and then hopefully you'll be joining us because we'll try to do some fun things every week. So I'm going to switch my camera now and show you guys in a little more detail the ingredients we need to steal a term from cooking. We'll show the ingredients we're going to use for these two versions of these earrings. So once again, we're going to do a wire wrapped version, and we're going to do a beading wire version. So both of them use much of the same components. The wire wrapped version is a little different in that in the original version, I used these wonderful little enameled, where's my focus? Enameled bead caps that are made by Gardan Beads. She does really wonderful enamel work. And these are her, I think they're called tulip bead caps. You might want to look for those. And then underneath is, doing that glitchy. That's it, guys. I'm getting a new camera. This one's not, it's just failing me. This one has some little wire wrapped dangles from a little wire loop up that goes up through the bead cap. And then up here, we've got the wire that's connected to the ends of the wings with a wrapped loop, and then some little gemstone embellishment and a little spacer up at the top. So to make this one, we're going to start with a piece of 24 gauge wire. And I do because, craft wire, it is craft wire, so it's fairly soft. I think most craft wire is a copper core. There might be other types, but I'm pretty sure most of them are a copper core. So it's pretty soft. So I'm going to take a wire straightener. Beadalon has this cool little wire straightener that works nice. You just pull it you pull your wire through. And I want to do this for two reasons. I want my wire to be straight, of course, and I also want a teeny bit of work hardening, so then that when my earring is all put together, the wire isn't quite so bendable and delicate. I just have to straighten these. It's lying there looking kind of wonky. So you can also use nylon jaw pliers to do that, to straighten and work harden your wire. So the first thing I'm going to do is I have about a 6-inch piece of wire, and I really should have read through my instructions, you know, before I started this, but I forgot to do that, and so we'll just wing it. I've made these a few times anyway. So I'm going to take a pair of round nose pliers, and I'm going to place my wire I'm going to set it up right about at the middle, and then just kind of fold the wire around my round nose plier jaws. And then I'm going to take a little, we call these our 4mm hex spacers. They're just nice little spacers with a hexagon shape. And I'm going to thread both of the ends of the wire onto that spacer. Now you could do a version of this, this wire wrapped earring with a heavier gauge wire, but you'd want to make sure that you could get 2 passes of it through the little spacer bead that you're going to use up there at the top. So I'm going to pull that up until I have about a quarter inch loop up at the top. And I'm going to step away for a second. I need to grab a Sharpie pen, because I'm going to use that for a couple of things during this process. I'm going to use it to mark my wire, and I'm also going to use it as a mandrel a little bit later. So that's the top. Oh, and also in advance, I'm going to be showing you some wire wrap dangles as well. I've already done 2 of them, but maybe I'll just come around. Normally I would have shown you that first, but I'll come back to that later. So I've got my 6-inch piece of craft wire. I've got my little spacer up at the top, and then I'm going to kind of spread those out, spread the 2 wires out a little bit. And I'm going to start stringing some embellishments onto both sides of the wire. I'm not going to start with the spacer. I'm going to start with I have a 3mm faceted tiger eye bead. I'm going to string that on first. And as you know, with gemstones, they can be really finicky with their holes. And that one didn't quite fit on my wire, so I grabbed another one. And then I've got a little 4mm faceted amethyst. And then I've got like slightly larger little, might be aventurine, I'm not sure what that is. And then I'm going to finish with one of those little hex spacers. And I'm going to do that on the other side as well. So the little 3mm bead, and you can use any little gemstone mix, assortment of gemstones you have around. You could use check glass beads for this. You could use various color seed beads, kind of any little bead soup thing. And again, if you wanted to try making these with another heavier gauge wire, you'd need to make sure that your wire fits through your gemstone bead holes. They can be very tiny. All right, so I have 3 beads and a spacer on each side, and I'm going to now take a ruler and I'm going to kind of measure. It doesn't have to be exact, but I just want to make a mark with my Sharpie. I probably should have done this before I strung the beads on, about 1 1/8 inches from where the spacer is. And the same on the other side. And actually, now that I'm thinking back, this would have been best to do at the beginning before I spread the wires out. Then I could have just matched up the lines very easily. Okay, so now I've got my beads on there. I'm going to bend both of those wires up towards me, right at that mark I just made. And then I'm going to take some round nose pliers, and I'm just going to kind of bend that wire halfway around at a wide part of the plier jaws. I want them to pretty much match on both sides. All right, so now we've got, hey, what happened to my other spacer? I lost a spacer in the process. Let's string that back on. All right, so we have both of our sides, all of our beads strung. I didn't just lose a spacer, I lost one of the other beads. Hold on. I need 3 hands, really, is what I need. Julie, how are we doing with questions and or comments?
Oh, just a whole lot of love.
Oh, good. I always love that part. All right, so
Hawaii and Michigan and
oh, yay, yay, yay. All right, so I had to unbend my loop a little bit to get those beads back on that like disappeared sometime in the process. So I've got my little loop at the top, I got my beads, I've got my wires bent right here and kind of pointing up at me. And now I'm going to string on the Luna Moth link, and I'm going to thread 1 wire at each end, at the ends of the wings, 1 wire through each hole. And just bring those, come on, those beads back where they belong.
Tracy.
What's that?
I've seen these earrings around forever, and I never gave much thought to how involved
they were put together.
Yeah.
Well, and you know, the wire wrap version is fussy. It's really beautiful and it's really fun and it's not particularly complicated, but it is a little bit fussy. So that's why we ended up doing 2 versions. I got my wire a little bent there, but I'm going to straighten that after. That's why we ended up doing 2 versions because, oh, my camera's doing that focusy thing again. Because I wanted a simpler version. So that's why I ended up doing a wire wrapped version as well. So got these all up here and I'll start on one side and I'm going to bring the wire, that wire tail around the other side and just form a little wire wrap. And I'm starting from the outside and just forming a little wire wrap. And I don't want my loop here at the end of the wire to be too small. I want it to be nice and roomy. So I made it about, that's not a very pretty wrap. I made it about 3/16 of a inch diameter, kind of teardroppy shape, because I want there to be plenty of room for it to move at the end of the wing. I don't want it to be too tight. So I got my little wire wrap and I'm going to repeat that on the other side. Paying attention to making sure that my loops are about the same size. I should have cut that end off on the other side because now it's going to be in my way.
I don't like it when dangly earrings don't move.
Yeah, they get kind of caught up if the loops are looped too tight and stuff.
Yeah, you see somebody wearing one and it's kind of kinky and you want to reach out and fix it for them.
You want to fix it for them. All right, so I've got my little wire wraps. Trimmed off my extra. I'm going to grasp this loop up at the top and kind of pull up. That will help to straighten those wires a little bit. I'm also going to use the tips of my chain nose pliers to straighten them down here at the loops. And then I can go in with my little nylon jaw pliers and straighten the wire a little bit where it got kind of a little bit crooked. All right. So that's the top of one of these earrings. And reminding myself that I need some ear wires for when I'm finishing this all up. Yeah, I do my best to get all the supplies out before, but you know, you miss stuff. All right, so there's the top of one of the wire wrapped versions. So to make the bottom, I didn't have more of Anne's lovely tulip beads, enameled beads. So I've got some of our bell caps. I think this is the largest one we have, Julie, right?
Oops, I was distracted. What was that?
I was talking about our little bell bead caps, and I think this is the largest one. We have 3 sizes. Does that look like the large? This is definitely the largest one.
Oh yeah.
So what I'm going to do with this is I have these 2 little gemstone dangles, and I'm going to make a 3rd one. I'm using our 24 gauge head pins for this. We have 2 different head pins. We have a 24 gauge 2-inch, and we have a 21 gauge 2-inch. And the 21 gauge would be too thick for the gemstone hole. So I'm using the 24. They're really nice and they're sterling silver. And I'm just making a wrapped loop at the top of this little bead.
I was putting a link to our ear wires when
yeah.
question, and I can do only one thing at a time.
I'm just glad you're here helping out.
Well, we want everybody to go visit and see all the great ear wires we have available because they are the best.
All right, so here's I had done the 2 others in advance, but I just wanted to demo that that last one for us. And now I have a second piece of that 24 gauge craft wire. It's only about 5 inches long. And I'm going to, this is where I was mentioning that I needed a pin for a mandrel. I'm just going to make kind of a bigger loop, bigger than the one I could do with my round nose pliers. So once I've got a loop made, I'm going to string on those 3 little gemstone dangles. And then I'm going to fold up both ends of this craft wire and thread. Oh, actually, no. What I'm going to do, I'm going to kind of let me think here. I'm doing this a little bit differently than the one I did with Anne's tulip, just because it's narrower. It's narrower up at the top, so I'm kind of adjusting on the fly how I want to finish this off. I do want these to hang below the cap, but not too far. So I want to get an idea of how long I want this loop to be. And I'm going to shorten it up a little bit. And then I'm going to wrap one of those wires around just a couple times to secure the loop. And then I'm going to thread the remaining end up into that bead cap. And that looks pretty good. I like the way that's hanging. It's kind of down below the bottom of the cap, which is where I wanted it. I'm going to push, my loop got a little elongated, so I'm just going to adjust it. I'm going to push it up a little bit so it's rounder. And then I like the way that looks. So now I'm going to start another wrapped loop up here at the top. And I want a slightly roomy loop. I don't want to make it right down at the small end of my jaws. I want it to be a little bigger because I'm going to thread that through the loop on the bottom of the Luna Moth, and I want there to be plenty of wiggle room. So I thread that on before I complete the wrapped loop, and then I can wrap it.
I have put links on to the bead cap, your hex bead, your Luna Moth, ear wires. If anybody needs anything else, just let me know.
Okay.
Oh, I linked Gardan's Facebook page. I don't know if she has a website. Her stuff is all over Etsy.
Yeah, she must. I'm not sure. But you guys, that's it. That's the process for the wire wrapped version. Again, not the best focus, so sorry. But they're pretty stunning. And imagine just the different gemstone combinations and palettes. And then to finish that, of course, I'm just gonna pop an ear wire on there. And when making the second one, I think one of the big concerns is just make sure you match your measurements so that both of the earrings are the same. Unless that's totally not important to you. You could have variation in them and they could be different. That would be okay. So that's the wire wrapped version. And now I'm going to show you the much less fussy beading wire version. I'm going to move all my stuff over.
This is such a great design for those of us who like big earrings.
Yeah, and you could, something else, Julie, is for this version, there's so many different colored beading wires out there. So with this version, you could do, one of the colored beading wires. Again, you would just want to make sure that whatever beading wire you choose, that it fits through your little gemstone beads.
Yep.
So with this one, I'm going to do, I think, my little bead dangle that goes at the bottom first. So I've got an 8mm fire polish check glass bead, and this one doesn't need a wrap loop, just needs a simple loop. So, everybody does their simple loops differently, but I tend to trim mine off and then make my loop. And I do want to make sure again that it's not a tiny loop because I want it to be able to wiggle around down at the bottom of the Luna Moth. So I trimmed it off at about 1/2 inch. And again, with the measurements for this one, you could do your beads for both earrings at the same time and make sure your measurements are the same. And then I'm just going to make my little simple loop. Oh, and why didn't somebody stop me? We forgot to put the bead cap on.
I just noticed.
I'm using a different bead cap for this one. This one is our Scalloped Petal Cap, Julie. Does that sound right?
Yep.
Yeah, so this one is a little bit shorter than the bell cone. And I like that with the 8mm bead just because it shows more of the bead. So again, with the simple loop, going with about 1/2 inch. I'm so precise with my measurements. See here, guys.
Everybody can relate.
Right. That's a little bit too long on this one.
I'm putting a link right now to the scallop bead cap.
Okay, good. So again, with my simple loop. So that's ready to go for when we get to the last bit of the earring. And then I have about a 6-inch piece of that fine beading wire. And so the process for this one is a little bit different because we're using crimp beads. So I'm going to kind of fold my wire in half, and I'm going to string on one of those little faceted spacers, if I can get my hands on one. and string that onto my beading wire. And I'm going to follow it with a crimp bead. Again, onto both strands. And that's going to go up right underneath the spacer bead. And again, I want about a 1/4 inch loop. Now on the original version, I decided to go with just, there's a couple different methods for crimping, a couple different tools. These are kind of traditional 2mm crimp tubes, and I flattened them because it just seemed like an easier technique for this particular design. But what I thought I would try for the demo is to do the traditional kind of crimp with the C notch of a pair of crimping pliers, and then we'll cover them at the end with crimp tubes. So again, I want to pay attention to how long my loop is up here, because I'm going to want to make sure I match that on the other side. I want it about a 1/4 inch long. So I'll just crimp that and fold it. And we have tutorials on our blog for kind of these simple basic jewelry techniques like crimping and jump rings and wrapped loops and simple loops. We have some tutorials on our blog for making those. So you could check that out if you feel like you want refreshers for any of those techniques. So I'm again with my bead pattern, I'm stringing a little 3mm tiger eye and a little amethyst and a little, these ones, I'm going back to the original design here, and I'm using these little peridot beads that are really pretty. And then another spacer. And then, well, let me think. Yes, crimp bead. I had to think if I was going to put that on before or after I put it through the wing. And you know what I'm going to do too, again, before I get too far along, is make my mark on my wire. And I'm going to go with about an 1/8 and an inch and an 1/8 again. And that's just so that I can make sure both sides match. Trying to mark my wire without marking up my work mat. Okay, so now I'm going to thread that wire through the wing on one side, and I'm going to thread the end back through the crimp bead. And this is where I want to watch out for the little tiny mark I made, because I want that to be about, and I want to find that mark, which I made super small, so wish me luck. Maybe we'll just use the ruler again. All right, so again, I don't want my loop too small here. I want there to be some room for the wire to move in that loop. And I'm just going to crimp that.
What size magnification of glasses are you wearing, Tracy?
I'm just wearing my 1.5s right now. I should probably put on the other ones. All right, and then I'm, with beading wire, sometimes you want to make sure you go back through, pass your wire back through some of the other beads, but these little gemstone beads are too small. So I'm just going to clip that off right at the top of the spacer. And there's one of the sides. So Julie, no, I'm not wearing stacked glasses right now.
No one could tell. No one can see you.
that valuable, valuable trick.
There's no stopping it. You can stack 3 pair. I'm sure more.
I don't know, that might get a little clunky.
It might.
All right, got all my beads and my crimp bead on there. Did I remember the spacer? I did. And then back up through the crimp bead and the spacer. And that looks pretty even. I want to make sure it doesn't get out of whack while I'm crimping it and it's moving around.
Well, sure, pretty.
And then close it up. And then trim that off above the spacer bead. Yay, it came out pretty even. I am happy. Okay, so crimp covers. These are totally an optional little embellishment to cover a crimp bead. And I don't really know how well they're going to work on this design, but I thought I'd give it a try. They might be too chunky for that spot. But if we do decide that's the case, then you know, you could go back to just the flattening the crimp tubes instead of curling them. And if you're not familiar with a crimp cover, it's just a little C-shaped kind of, it's a little component that looks like a roly-poly bug. They're tiny little, and they do come in different sizes. We only manufacture a 3mm size, but it's a little metal C that kind of, you can curl around your crimp. It adds a very, very nice finished touch to a design. And the front notch of the crimping pliers is just that C on both sides, and that's what that's useful for. Closing the crimp covers. And Julie's very quiet, which means she's probably given you guys a link to the crimp cover page.
Oh, that would have been a good thing to do. I was fascinated watching you and remembering when I used to go out to all my stores, and boy, are people divided on how to crimp.
Oh, it's like simple loops.
Yeah.
You know, people just do it different. I mean, wrapped loops, sorry. People do it differently. So
well,
there we
go. People that like to flatten.
Yes.
And there are people that would never do that and use the crimping tool around them. And I'm sure there are people that would never use the cover, and there are people that wouldn't go without a cover.
Right. Well, you know, that's not what's really nice about jewelry making. It's completely personal. So now to finish this one, I'm just opening up the loop on that dangle we made and closing that up. And remembering to put a ear wire at the top. So I don't know if you guys noticed, but that one was a lot faster than the other one.
It seemed a little fiddly too.
Not as much though. I don't know. Maybe because the wire can bend and it just makes it a little bit funky.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah. But I'm going to pick them back up again to see if the, oops. Oh, here's an important tip too, guys. When you put that ear wire on the beading wire, make sure you close it really, really securely so that your wire doesn't hop out like it just did. And of course, opening a loop on an ear wire is the same method as opening a jump ring. You go side to side rather than spreading it open like a C. You just go side to side with the twist. So there we go. The two different versions. I'm going to switch my camera back. Switch my camera back and let you guys know that I'm going to upload the how-to, the downloadable PDF onto the inspiration page. Julie, want to put that link in the comments? The Luna Moth earrings inspiration page. I put
it earlier, but I'll do it again.
Oh, no. That's fine then. I am going to load the downloadable PDF onto that page as soon as we're done here. So that will be available for you guys to download and play with this design yourself. And it'd be fun to see. You guys are always invited to, if you end up making any versions of this, share them with us because we'd love to see them. Or tag us if you post it on social media, just tag us and hopefully we'll see it. I try to keep on top of that stuff, do my best. So let's see. I don't have anything decided for next week yet. I thought I would put it to you guys. I got a couple of, there's still a few designs from the renewal launch that we can do tutorials for. So one of them is this fun, whoops, tip the other way, the succulent tassel earrings. And those are made using our crimpable Jardine end caps. And it feels like there's been a demo of this already, but I don't think we did it. So let me know in the comments. Let us know if you'd like to see this one. And this one's also very simple. So I might have to, I'll see if I can come up with some variations on that if we do decide on that one, just to, pad the demo, give it a little more time. There's also this wire wrapped succulent charm wire wrapped pendant that was really fun to make, and I just thought it came out beautiful, so we could do that one. And the last one is the one I'm wearing, so I don't know how well you'll be able to see this. This necklace is on some silk cord, and the way I constructed it is that it's adjustable. So it's a sliding knot up here at the top, and you can move that up and down depending on how long you want to wear the necklace. So you can wear it way down long, or you can, bring it up so it's quite a bit, whoops, going backwards, quite a bit shorter. And the focal part of the necklace is a mix of gemstones and the Luna Moth at the bottom with a little gemstone down there at the bottom. So we can do any of those three designs. You guys make comments and let me know what you think we should do. And there's a couple of other events coming up. So that will be our demo for March 9th, next Tuesday, whatever we decide to do. And then on the 16th, I'm going to be doing a demo with Leathercord USA, and that's specifically for our Mojo 2 group, but we'll be sharing it on our own page as well, and I'll make an event for that. So that's on the 16th at 10 a.m. That'll be a fun, I'll have a guest, I'll have Michelle with Leathercord USA on with me. And then on March 22nd, it's a Sunday, it's at 1 p.m. I'm going to be doing my presentation for the Great Bead Extravaganza that's happening that weekend. There'll be a lot of great stuff going on Saturday and Sunday. And my time slot, again, is 1 p.m. on the 22nd. And I'm going to be demoing some of our kits, a few of our older kits. I'm going to be doing 3 of them. So watch for that too. And I think that's it, Julie. Is there any comments or any questions that we need to answer?
No, there was, there's comments, there's hellos and, sending goodwill and loving our product, but there really weren't any, I think everybody was at rapt attention.
Oh, good. And no preferences for what to demo next week yet? I'll watch for that. Things will trickle in, but
Well, Emily says all 3 are gorgeous. So she likes all of them. But no, I don't see that yet.
Okay, well, I'll watch for that. And then I'll do an event probably on Friday.
What time zone are the presentations?
Our presentations are Pacific time.
Okay, great.
Because we're California, so.
Yes, we are.
So, okay, I think that's it, Julie. Thank you so much for being here to do the moderating and posting links and all that good stuff.
Sure.
And thank you to everybody else for hopping on to watch our demo and share it. And I hope that you guys will try this project and the download will be ready, I don't know, within the next hour. Okay. All right. So thanks. And we'll see you next week.